Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're starting a little bit late today because it's only my fourth time. So welcome to Dream Chasers Radio, where we're talking to people live. It's Diamond Monday. And I've had so many different appointments today, and I'm so sorry for running late, but I am telling you, I have Randy Peyser on the show today. And I am so excited because this is going to be my first live interview on YouTube. And we're going to go ahead and broadcast that live on Facebook. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick up the stream and put it up on Facebook and put it up on everywhere. I am telling you, I'm excited about this. So let me see if I can do that. Let me see if I can add and then just save the changes. And here we go. We are live on Facebook. We're live on my Facebook pages as well as on my personal page. And I'm going to go there now because I know that for some reason, I haven't figured it all out yet, but I'm doing a lot better. So I'm using StreamYard. So if you want to use StreamYard, I will have all of the details in the description box below. So, oh my gosh, I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. Okay, see, so it's only showing me, hold on a second. It's only giving it to my private, but now it is public. What's up, peoples? I'm so excited. So excited. I know I said that before. But we have Randy Peyser on the show. So basically what today's show is about is if you ever wanted to be a New York bestseller, or say you wanted to write your memoir, you wanted to write your book, you wanted to write about your life, your biography, whatever the case may be, Randy Peyser is the person to talk to. Not only because she's the person to talk to, but that she has been in this business so long. And not only that, she knows what it takes to be that bestseller, to get that best-selling book, to get that bestseller out there. And not only to get it out there, but to get it to the right people. And so that's what this show is all about. I want to thank you again so much for tuning in. I'm going to give you a direction here. If you're not subscribe to the YouTube channel, please go ahead and go to Dream Chasers Radio, subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified every time we have a upload or a live show. As well as if you're not my friend on YouTube, on Facebook, if you're not following me there, go ahead and go to Dream Chasers Radio. That's Dream Chasers Radio, and look me up and go ahead and like the page. We have so many different wonderful people here that come on and talk about different things, and Randy is amazing. She's amazing. She knows so much. So we're waiting for her to log in. I wanted to get your comments because have you ever wanted to write a book? Have you ever wanted to be a bestseller? I mean, I don't know these things, so you're going to have to tell me. So let me go ahead and say hello to everybody. And this is a live show. We are live right now. And I'm excited. Yay. So and she has One Stop. I forgot what it was called. I'm going to go ahead and go here. Author1stop.com, I believe it is. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure that I'm writing this down properly. Yes, it's author1stop.com. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the description box. One Stop. All right. So author1stop.com, and that's going to be Randy Peyser's site. And this is my first time doing an interview here on StreamYard, and I'm just excited because it's so simple. I mean, you just log in and everything. So, all right. So we have some more questions here that I just want to go ahead and, oh my gosh. I'm excited. Yay. It's my first interview on here, guys. I'm good. So as we wait for her, I'm going to go ahead and add her to the screen. Hey, Randy, how are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you good.
I can't see you. I don't know. I'm just seeing a big Snapchat image where my face should be.
Really? Oh, my gosh. Hold on a second. Let me see. I don't see you either. I see your logo. I see like a snap camera. Maybe your camera's bad. Maybe you don't have it connected.
That is weird. Does it have to be via Snapchat?
No, it doesn't. I sent you a link. the link was for StreamYard.
Yeah, I know. That's what I clicked on. That's where I got to you, but I don't know what to do to get rid of Snapchat. Delete
I
it.
have no idea. So go ahead and go out and then come back in and let's see if we can get you that way. Just go ahead and click on it and then go to StreamYard.
Okay.
Because it should just take you straight to StreamYard, not to Snapchat. I wonder why it did that. All right. So in the meantime, guys, I want to talk about that interview with Oprah real quick. Okay. All right. So who saw that Oprah Winfrey interview? I personally did not see it. I saw clips of it because I was really busy yesterday. But a lot of that stuff with the Duke and the Duchess of Sussex and all that stuff, the biggest thing that got me was when they said that somebody in the institution said that they were concerned about how dark their baby was going to be. Come on. To me, that really, really hit me. It was like, you have got to be kidding me. You mean to tell me that the only thing that you can think of is how dark a child's going to be, but you can't love that child? To me, that was the biggest thing. And we got to see now, look, Randy, you're back. And I got you.
Yes.
Woo!
My goodness.
Oh my
Okay.
Yes, yes. So I'm so happy that you're here with me and that we can see you instead of Snapchat.
Thank you.
So Randy Peyser, everybody, and I have your author, onestop.com up. See, I was ready for you.
Thank you.
I was ready for you. So tell everybody who you are and exactly what you're doing. I mean, because you have such a wonderful way of getting people to the top.
Thank you. I work a lot with first-time authors. And my company, we edit books, we ghostwrite books, and I pitch to the New York publishers and top literary agents. And, I help people with all different kinds of books, memoir and business and self-help and mind, body, spirit, some fiction, but mostly nonfiction, personal growth. And I'm very excited about what I do, and I create a lot of wonderful results for people. And I'm able to get most people book deals.
Wow. Now that's the big thing right there. Getting people book deals. I mean, how does one get a book deal? I mean, and not everybody can do it. I'm sorry. I'm saying it, and not everybody can do this.
There are two parts to the conversation to get a book deal. Mm-hmm. And when I initially speak with someone, I can pretty much determine and tell them whether I think we have that potential or not. Mm-hmm. So, for example, one part is about content. And for everyone, including memoir, your content needs to be very differentiated from everything else that's already out there, which is quite a lot. So your story or your angle has to be very, very unique. So that's one thing, because if publishers start reading something and they see that, oh yeah, we've heard this all before, they're rolling their eyes and, it's just like delete, and they moved on to next. So the positioning is what we call it. The positioning has to be correct. So think about like what's trending in the news now, what will potentially be trending over this coming period as well. Be thinking ahead, be thinking forward, and that will help to determine, how you'll get a book deal. So that's one piece of the equation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then another piece has to do with what I call the business of publishing, which is not about your content, but it's about your ability to promote. Because after all, when you're talking about New York publishers, you're talking about big business. You're talking about corporate decision makers. And from the corporate perspective, and frankly, in terms of medium publishers, like medium tier publishers or the very large publishers, it's a numbers game, and your personal numbers matter. So what that means is your numbers related to how many people you have following you on social media. Think about the exact target market person who would buy your book. What shelf at a Barnes & Noble or other bookstore would your book sit on? Because there's a book buyer for that shelf. So we have to know what shelf your book sits on. If you can't figure that out, then there may not be a place for you in traditional publishing. But if your book sits on a particular shelf, Where is your target market audience for that shelf? For example, if you've written a business book, your people are going to be on LinkedIn. That's where the professionals are.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, or is your audience mainly on Instagram or Facebook or wherever they are? Because publishers will look you up. I was sitting with Angelina Jolie's literary agent pitching a book to a particular project, and he pulled out his phone, looked up my author on YouTube and said, oh no, his numbers are way too small. Click, done. So they're looking at the size of your social media list, and they're also looking at the amount of engagement you have.
Mm-hmm.
I was pitching 9 projects recently via Zoom to a publishing house. So when you're on Zoom, you know, you can watch the other person, and this editor, they're called acquisitions editor. Those are the editors. Those are the people who are going to acquire the books. Mm-hmm. And she was looking up my people on Facebook, one after the next, going, numbers look strong, but the amount of engagement is small. So are you engaging with your audience, and where are they, and are you reaching them? The larger your numbers. So I tell people it's 2 parts to the equation. Great content that publishers absolutely love. Mm-hmm. Numbers, you've got to play the number game. So I want to share the kinds of numbers that publishers are looking for. Okay. So I had a project that actually came out last week called The Prepared Investor. Okay. When I pitched this, and I pitched it a while ago, the author had 2 LinkedIn profiles, because obviously LinkedIn is going to be where somebody who's into the investment category, those are professionals, that's where they're going to be. And so he had 2 LinkedIn profiles, one for his business and one personal. His business profile at the time, he had 10,000 people. His personal, he had 1,000 people. I had a meeting a couple of years ago with 25 people in 2.5 days. 22 of them were publishers, 3 were top literary agents. When I pitched this project, the Prepared Investor Project, and I said, you know, this author has 10,000 people on his professional and 1,000 on his personal profiles. Those 3 top literary agents I met with, 2 of whom have done 6-figure deals for my clients, but all 3 of those agents in separate meetings said the exact same words. They said, delete the 1,000. Those numbers are too small.
Wow.
The large publishers, let's say, you know, like Simon & Schuster was bought recently by Penguin Random House. So these large publishers, they want to buy books from authors. They want to offer contracts to authors who they believe will sell more than 10,000 books in the first year and show ongoing demand. That's a lot of books. Wow. A mid-range publisher, they're looking for authors who are going to sell 3,000 to 5,000 books in the first year. Again, it's a lot of books. Yeah. So we have to actually prove the sale. See, this is a business conversation we're having right now. And I'm talking about the nuts and bolts of the publishing industry and how it works. Right. But you've got to get yourself visible. You just have to. You can't be the shy butterfly or the shy wallflower who's sitting back saying the publisher's going to do everything for me. It doesn't work that way anymore.
Right. You know, a lot of people, what they've done is they've gone out, they've proven their numbers by actually self-releasing their book and self-publishing. Is that something that they look into as well? Or can you not have it self-published? They want all of it.
Yeah, so let me explain that, because, and people really need to know this, because it's exactly what you said. A lot of people said, oh, you know, I'll self-publish my book. Publishers will see it online. They'll see how great it looks, and then they'll give me a contract. And it doesn't work that way at all. Once a book is self-published, the publishers they're going to look for 10,000 copies sold in the first year, and that you have to be able to show ongoing demand. Because once you're self-publishing, you're on Amazon, and then you're in competition with the publisher. Even if you take your book off of Amazon, all of a sudden you're probably going to see used copies showing up out of the ethers. And so it's very, very tough to get a book deal for someone who self-publishes first. So for example, let's say you self-published a book, but now you've written a second book. And let's say you didn't put any energy into your first book. Oh, you know, I was new at it, or I just did it for a select audience, and it's not really what I'm writing about now. Publishers don't care. They're going to look up your sales numbers, which they can do within seconds, like 2 seconds. They use their Nielsen book scan software. They look at my people on Amazon, go, oh no, previous sales too low. And even when I try to explain, but now they have all this other stuff in place, it's still so much harder. And it's so much easier for me to get a book deal for someone when they've never put anything up on Amazon that's book related than when they have something up there. I have sold one person's self-published book, but I'm telling you, it's one out of many. Right. So for example, I had an author a couple of years ago who had sold 2,700 books in 6 months.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I thought, and his book had international appeal. It was about an international figure. And I think, great, everything to me, the writing on the wall looked like, oh yeah, I can get this guy a book deal. But no, those 3 top agents said they wouldn't touch it. He hasn't sold 10,000 books in his first year. Oh my God. So, it's so much harder. And the agents and publishers, they want to see engagement. If you're a nonfiction author, one of the ways to get higher engagement is if you're brave enough to do a TED Talk, do a TED Talk.
Right. Well, how do you do a TED Talk? I mean, these are things that most people don't know. Do you pay to do a TED Talk? Do you get invited to do a TED Talk? I mean, how do you get these things done?
So I'm not a TED Talk person. I tell people my sweet spot is get the content right, get the book sold to a publisher. However, I do know phenomenal people who are TED Talk people, and they have lists. There's a directory with that, that is sold. It's pretty inexpensive, and it has a list of all the TED Talks. So, for example, I had a book that came out on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. It was number 7 in October 2020 on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list, best hardcover business book. And the author had done a TED Talk previous to that book before I even pitched it. She had 1 million views of her TED Talk. It was called the Tao of Influence. And does that make it easier to sell a book to a publisher when somebody's had 1 million views? Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Another way to get engagement is to create a list, a very long list of names and email addresses. That's it. Of people who say they're committed to buying your book when it comes out.
So maybe a pre-sale or some kind of an email list of, reach out to family, tell people to share.
Not just your email list. Let's say you have an email list and, you say, oh yeah, I'm going to announce it to my list when my book comes out. That's one thing. But it's another thing to get commitments and to ask. Would you be willing, would you commit to buying my book when it comes out? I'm pitching, I'm having it pitched to a publisher shortly, something like that. And get real names. That's currency.
Wow. I like that. A commitment list. I think I'm trying to keep it going as we talk about it and put it underneath so that way people can actually write this down, because having a bestseller book and having a book, I mean, do you need to be on the best-selling list? Can't you just be an author and just love what you do?
Oh yeah, totally. I always tell people I'm not attached, whether people want to self-publish or have me help them find a traditional publisher. I really just want what's right and best for each person. That's it. That's what I want for people. What's right and best for them. And I like both approaches for different reasons. So what I tell people is, if you want to make more money per book and you want to get your book out quickly, self-publish. If you're using your book for your career, definitely try for a traditional publisher. Why? Because more doors are going to open for you that you don't even know. A lot more opportunities for publicity. So for example, I've had first-time authors like, Wall Street Journal bestseller list, Hallmark TV interview, Oprah Magazine feature, first-time authors. Time Magazine mentioned, just these major things that have happened for authors that have propelled their careers. That kind of thing typically won't happen with a self-published book. It does take longer for a traditional book to come out. And for all nonfiction, we have to put together a business plan in which we're proving the sale of the book in different categories. So, and that's called a book proposal. So there's a lot more that goes into it. So it really depends on a person's end goals.
So what is your suggestion to those people who want to be authors, just authors? So, I mean, they want to put their book out. Maybe they want to self-publish. Maybe they want to go with you to get a traditional, publishing deal. I mean, what do you suggest? I mean, there's got to be some kind of a criteria for the way your book should be formatted, the way it should look.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, if we're pitching to publishers, what we need is double-spaced text. We don't need a cover. They're not going to use your cover. So we just have to get the text right. And I'd like to address memoir, because I can imagine that many of your listeners are going to be memoir. That you're telling your life story. And usually when people are writing memoir, they've gone through difficult experiences or just horrific experiences, tragic experiences, challenges that they've overcome, and they want to empower other people who are going through a similar circumstance. And so, for example, there's a lot of people writing memoir, and that becomes the problem. A lot of people are writing memoir. So I like to help people to give some tips to make memoir more sellable.
Right.
And one of the ways that you can do this is something that we call prescriptive memoir. So with prescriptive memoir, what that means is, and this is the strategy I use for my own books that I write. What it means is you're going to tell stories from your life. Maybe they're in chronological, sequential order. But after each story, you're going to give 3 or 4 tips that relate to that story. But these are insights that you had based on that story or action steps that your reader can take.
Okay.
So, for example, my first book was called Crappy to Happy. And my original subtitle was A Journey Out of the Pits and Into the Fruit of Life. And I thought, oh, gee, that's fun. That's witty. But the publisher's marketing department, when I sold that book, they changed the subtitle to Small Steps to Big Happiness Now. Because that answered the question in the reader's mind, which is, what's in it for me? So a lot of people, when you're writing memoir, there are 2 questions that I ask when any memoir comes to me. I'm asking, is this a book that's all about me? Or is this a book that answers a question in the reader's mind, which is, what's in it for me? Because it better be the second book if you want either a publisher or readers.
Right.
So, for example, Crappy to Happy. After every story, there are, and these are stories, I went through these crappy experiences, and here's how I transformed them. So that's these short stories. That's my format. Then there are 4 steps to happiness now after every story. And these are either, again, insights or action steps. Remember that or write it down. Insights or action steps.
I want to go ahead and put that underneath us.
Yes, please.
So insights or action, right?
Yes.
So for the memoir,
insights or action steps. And I want you to be consistent. And what that means is, if you're going to do 4 steps with your first story, do 4 insights or action steps with every story. If you're going to do 3 steps, do 3 steps with every story. Just establish a consistency. And you have to figure out with each of your stories, what is the theme that all of these stories relate to? Right. So, I wrote a second book called The Power of Miracle Thinking. And I interviewed like 40 people who had all kinds of miracles: health, housing, a fire consumes 500,000 acres. A house in the middle of that forest did not burn. Why? And so I wanted to get like the stories, the short stories, followed by 3 miracle thinking tips, which were either beliefs that the people held or actions that they took that they believe allowed the doors of grace to open. How did this miracle happen? So I have 3 miracle thinking tips. If you're doing these steps or tips, when I say be consistent with the amount, also be consistent with your sentence length or word count. So there's a really strong consistency. So you don't have some short tips and some 3-paragraph tips. Make them all, 4-sentence, 5-sentence tips, whatever it is, whatever you decide, but be consistent. Right.
Be consistent. Definitely have to be consistent. I am so happy that you're here. You know, when it comes to actually getting that book out, what do you expect? I mean, you say it takes longer, right, to put a
Yeah,
traditional book out with a publisher. How long are we talking? What kind of a patience should they have when they're
right.
accepted?
Right. So we have to put together a book proposal first. So I'm taking the conversation back just a little bit. So the book
Mm-hmm.
proposal is the key to getting the book deal. And everything has to be polished. So, for example, one of the things that I see what people do incorrectly, that in fact, it happened today. I was speaking with an author this morning. She said, I've been sending out queries to agents and I'm not getting anywhere. And I said, has your text been read and analyzed, or has it been edited? No.
Mm,
If the answer is no, then you're doing things out of sequence, and never send anything out of sequence. I don't care
right,
if you work with my company to have us analyze and edit, or someone else, but do things in a right sequence.
right.
And so the first step is to make sure that the content you got, the content is really polished. It's really edited. It is ready to go. That's
Mm,
number one. Everything has to be professional. There can't be typos.
right. No, it
You know, so
cannot.
that's the
It cannot.
first step. And then
Right.
we put together, we have to make sure that book proposal is really, really strong. There's a section called about promotions, and we've got to write down all of your social media links and the size of your followings and where else are you speaking? Are you speaking on podcasts? The greater eyeballs you have on you, the greater the possibility of getting a book deal.
Mm. And
So
where should,
build
I mean,
something.
where should they be like getting their eyes? I mean, it's so hard. It's like, okay, so you don't have money because you put all your money in your book, because literally it's expensive to write a book. Okay. You got to get people to write a
Okay.
book. You got to get you order your book. You got to have the money for all this. So how
Yes.
do you get people to look at you? That's going to be the next question.
Yes. So, as I suggested before, your circle of family and friends, and get as
Uh,
many people as you can to commit to it. So, I
Yep.
mean, that's one of the things, but there's certain steps that there's just no getting around. There has to be a book proposal. It has to be
Yeah.
edited. When I tell agents, agents tell me rather they're getting 1,000 submissions a month and they're not even looking at them, and, I have agents who tell me, hey, Randy, when you have something for me, text me first. Or when you have something for me, just please know I fast track every project you send to me. Well, why
Hmm.
are they fast tracking projects from me? Well, because I have close to 20 years of relationships with them. And
Mm.
and like all businesses, it's a business built on relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. And
Yeah.
we all have to have that relationship with people. We can't just spam people, I tell people, look, you cannot expect to spam people and to get a positive response. This is you
No,
have to have relationships. So I mean, building that relationship, building those trust with people, just getting that relationship going so that when your book comes out or when you have something, it's viable, it's worth something, it's not worth
right,
nothing. So
right.
wow.
So I want to talk about the timeline because that's what you were interested
Yes,
in.
yes, the timeline,
So
definitely. Hmm.
the shortest time it's taken me to get an agent has been one day. Usually the longest time is about 4 months. And oftentimes it's a 4 month cycle.
Okay.
So that's just to get the offer. An offer comes in first. And an offer is typically a publisher saying, we want to make an offer on this book. And here are the basic terms of the advance. Then the advance is how much money you're going to get up front before the book is sold.
Mm.
And
They still do that.
they're usually small, especially in COVID times.
Yeah.
That being said, I had an author who got $125,000 advance last year in a bidding war between 12 publishers. Why? Because her numbers were so huge. We could
Mm.
prove the potential sales.
Right.
It's all based
Right.
on numbers.
Mm.
So if the author accepts the advance, and I walk people through that. So people, when I'm working one-on-one with people, we discuss that.
Hmm.
I'll tell them whether it's, a good deal or should we try for more, whatever, things like that. And
Hmm.
so then after that, if the author accepts the advance, then it's going to take another 3 weeks or so before the contract comes in.
Right.
The contracts, most publishers, their contracts are like 8 or 9 point font, single space, 10 pages. There's a lot that needs to be negotiated in those contracts or
Hmm.
reviewed. There's one publisher I've been selling a number of books to, absolutely superb publisher, and their contract is so clean, even I can understand it. But I tell people I'm not the legal beagle. I don't do contract negotiations. I have a literary attorney I refer people to, or certain agents who will do them for an hourly basis for about 300. No, the attorneys are about 400 to do a contract, and the agents often between 300, 250 to 300 to go through the contracts. So once contract is signed, that's all handled. It's going to take usually a year, sometimes a little bit longer, but often a year before the book comes out.
Wow. So within that year, should you be writing a new book?
What you should be doing is building your publicity platform.
Okay. All right.
That's it, because publishers aren't going to jump on your next book right away. And if they see you putting out another book, that's going to tick them off because they want you to put your energy into selling the book that they're investing in you. So if a publisher is putting $30,000 or $40,000 down to do your book, they want to know that, you're a sure thing. You're really behind it.
Right.
So the best thing that you could be doing always is to build numbers and visibility. Get on podcasts, make yourself as visible as possible. Like, years ago when I wrote Crappy to Happy, I wrote it in the mid-90s and started looking for a publisher. So this is before Facebook and Instagram and all these other ones.
Yeah.
And for 4 years, I was looking for a publisher, and I would hear things like, "Oh, your writing is great, but where's your platform?" And by platform, they mean publicity platform, meaning eyeballs. How many eyeballs do you have on you? And I started doing a one-woman show. This was after 4 years. And as I started to do my show, the publishers were like, "Oh, you do a show? Tell us about it." And I instantly, within 2 weeks, I had a book deal because I had visibility. So that was before social media. But visibility has always mattered. Numbers always mattered. It always has mattered. So make yourself as visible as possible because publishers will look you up online. And I want to give everyone a little tip.
Okay.
Do not make frowny faces online. I've had people on my feed, on various, like either it's my Author One Stop Facebook feed or wherever, and they're making frowny faces. "Well, I've been trying to get an agent or a publisher and I've had no luck." And maybe they've even misspelled words when they're on my feed, not knowing that guess who's in my circle of friends? Top agents. And I pitch a book for you if you're making frowny faces or misspelling words online on my feed. No. You have to be professional. I tell people be professional all the time. If you're online, you're visible. They're going to look you up. They absolutely will look you up. They'll look you up on their phones, wherever they are.
Yeah. And the phone is a big deal nowadays. Computer, social media. Oh my gosh. If you don't have one of those, you're dead in the water. Yeah,
that's very true. You have to have. And so people will say, well, why should I do all that work and give all that to a publisher if I have so many people? And the truth is, you're right. If you feel like you can sell your book, get out there and sell it. If you want national distribution, or that greater publicity, definitely try for a traditional publisher. In my authors' books, they've been in airport bookstores, first-time authors. Nationally in bookstores, and like I had a book that came out recently called The Chiron Effect, and it's on astrology and core wounds. It just came out in November 2020, and the publisher just sold the rights in China. The book's coming out in Chinese, a book on astrology.
Oh my gosh.
Wounds. I mean,
wow.
So many different things. Like another one of my author's books, Cosmo, is calling their number 17 best nonfiction book 2020. This is, you can't predict these things,
No,
but
you cannot.
You cannot. 2 of my author's books have been in every FedEx office store in the country. And now FedEx office carries what? 10 books, 20 books? I mean, a small handful of books. But 2 of them have been my author's books sold in bulk through the publishers.
Wow. That's amazing.
I want to talk about another strategy too. Another strategy, if you've written a book to help a certain kind of person, there might be opportunities for you that involve sponsorship of your book. So, for example, and I'll just give just a really basic kind of example. Let's say you've written a book on epilepsy, dealing with epilepsy. It could be that there is a manufacturer of pills that help epileptics who might be willing to sponsor the publishing of your book, which would then be donated. Your book would actually be donated to the Epilepsy Foundation.
Mm.
And let's say, the sponsor, let's say the Epilepsy Foundation has 35,000 people in it.
Right.
And the sponsor pays to have their name, on the inside of the book, this book donated by, the pill company.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's say the author makes $1 a book, but the sponsor is paid for the entire printing.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
That works too.
It works too. Yes, it does.
Yeah. So when I'm speaking with people, I'm also looking, is there an angle that can be used in that kind of way? And that's a whole other different path. But it is something that I'm very aware of, and I stay cognizant of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, I mean, there's just so many different ways to do this. Randy, I am so happy that you joined, and I know we started a little bit late, but there are so many people out there that may have questions, even now or even later. And I've been looking, and I want to say hello to Square Table Degenerates Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you guys on Facebook. And so Randy, where can people reach you? Where can they get your information? I know that I've been putting up your website. It's author1stop.com.
Yes, it's all letters, no numbers. author1stop.com. That's just the easiest. There's a contact form right there.
Okay, great. Because I put that up there so that way nobody can say that I didn't do it.
That's right. That's right.
My gosh, Randy, thank you so much. We have a second interview that we had that's going to air a little bit later. But I am telling you, I am so thankful that I met you. There's just so many different things, and you never know. Right now you may not be in the how would they say, shopping to write a book. It may not be in your cards right now. But what about later? Have people actually come to you later in life saying they want to write a book about their life?
Well, it's interesting because the youngest person I've ever gotten a traditional book deal for was 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
Shania Fastia, her book, The Bully in the Mirror. Mm-hmm. Shania, at age 10 or so, had created an anti-bullying curriculum and had spoken to 100,000 children. By the time
gosh.
Yeah, 11-year-old Shania had the numbers that those publishers are looking for. The oldest person I got a literary agent for was 89.
Wow.
And I pitched this woman as, and I truly believed it. I said, this woman is the Grandma Moses of the literary world. Mm-hmm. And, Grandma Moses being, big in the art world at, age 90 or something. And that's why I pitched it. And I got her a top agent. Wow. So it's really not about age, but it is about numbers, because
it definitely is. Wow.
Even that woman who was 89, she had graduated from Harvard, and the Harvard alumni were going to get the word out to 40,000 people.
Wow.
In their newsletters, and that made a difference.
Wow. Wow. Well, I want to thank you, Randy, so much for being on the show. You guys have to look out for our second interview that we had a little bit later on this week. And Randy Peyser it's just an amazing person. She has dedicated her life, and it was by accident. And you'll find out in the interview. Don't tell them, Randy. Don't say anything.
Lips are sealed.
Because we're also going to be having that interview and explain how she got into this whole thing by accident. And yeah, she has a very interesting way of putting it, but we won't say anything right now. But Randy, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it. You can get her at author1stop.com if you've ever wanted to publish a book and you think that you got what it takes to be a New York bestseller. I don't know. I don't right now. I don't think I want to at this moment in time. But you never know. Randy, Thank you again so much.
You know what I like to say? A book isn't just words on a page. It's your dream. And if it's your dream, I'm here to help people birth their dreams. That's what I do.
Dreams. Yay. That's what we are here to do. Yes, definitely. I want to thank you guys again so much for tuning into our live this Diamond Monday. And we're here to help you with whatever you want to do. And that's why Randy's here. So please contact her if you've ever wanted to be a New York's bestseller, or you think you got what it takes, or if you're willing to be open to criticism. Okay, look. Okay. I'm just going to put this out there. Randy, please, back me up, sister. Back me up. I'm gonna come right in your face real quick, and I'm going to say, look, if you cannot take criticism, if you cannot take guidance, if you can't have someone tell you that this needs to be changed or that needs to be done, then don't contact Randy. I'm telling you, don't even waste your time, because this is the thing. When we're going for our goals, there are going to be things we're going to have to change. We're going to have to adapt to certain things. And if you're not a moldable person that's molding in a positive manner, not negative, but positive, and that you don't accept the criticism that Randy may give you to move you forward towards being a bestseller, don't contact her. I'm telling you, just don't waste your time, okay? Because I'm all about, being moldable, being teachable, and Randy's going to take you to the next level if that's where you want to go. Randy, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I want to change one word though.
Okay.
I try to see, because I don't criticize people. We point out strengths and weaknesses. So if there's a weakness, we're going to tell you that, because we understand what publishers buy.
Okay, I got you.
So it's not so much about criticism. It's about, these are the strengths of your writing, and these are the weaknesses that we need to strengthen. So it's a different perspective.
Definitely. And I'm definitely weak on everything. So we're just going to leave me alone. But thank you so much, Randy. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And thank you guys so much for tuning in. And don't forget to dare to be different. Until next Monday at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. on the dot. We're going to be here. All right, guys. Until next time. Bye.